Hi guys, welcome to Reality with T. Thank you for joining me. So let me get right into it. We're going to discuss Tamar Braxton's Get Your Life, episode 6, and this is the finale of the season. So coming into this, I already last week I was like, that was a hot mess. And I'm hoping that we at some point bring this together at the end and we hear like what was the point of this whole thing? Because right now it looks like we're looking at a mess. We look at a mess with her life, with her inability to kind of organize just her life in general. We're looking at production. It's just a mess because they're trying to get footage from her. She's being she's kind of filtering herself, filtering her life so that she only is portraying what she wants to be portrayed. She wants everything to look good. We see a mess within her relationship. We see a mess between her and the family. We see a mess between, this whole thing is a mess. So I'm hoping that, in this episode, we will find out like, what was the point of all this, right? But we don't, there really is no point. Okay. So we start out with the producer, saying this is the last episode and asking, Tamar, even though she's standing there with David, how has it been shooting? How has it been shooting the reality show? So, of course, David jumps in. Nobody asked you anything, sir, but okay. So, look, I have a little wonky curl. I always have a little wonky curl somewhere. So David is like, well, we had a few blow-ups, like concerning Vince and him coming into my house. Again, it's not your house, but here we go, right? Coming into my house when he shouldn't be. He like pointed at her, shouldn't be. It was intrusive and this, and that. And again, this is not your house. Like, I just don't, why is she giving him that much power? He is just a boyfriend. But he's over here acting like he's been your husband for several years. You know what I mean? But again, she gave him this power. Then Tamar's allowed to answer, and she talks about how she doesn't know whether it was the best reality show experience or the worst reality show experience. So I was listening to my girl Bonzi Blue, who also does a YouTube reviews. Check her out sometime. She's very smart. She's very articulate. She's hilarious. I love, like, she's like my YouTube role model in this, right? And so she is like, well, it wasn't Tamar's best or worst reality show experience, because remember, she did better. She did okay with like Big Brother and things like that. She also acted a hot mess with the Braxtons. But I think she said the Braxtons were a pretty good experience. And then what was a bad experience? I forgot what it was. But like basically this was like in the middle. This wasn't the best or the worst that you've been on TV. So, let me see. They talk about Trina's wedding. I'm looking at my notes now. I'm trying to figure out. Sometimes I just write stuff and I'm just writing and I'm like, where did I get this from? Right? Oh yeah, Tamar talks about, will she regret this experience because she's had trouble trusting people. And now she's alluding to the fact that she couldn't trust the producers in this whole filming thing, right? And so, they talk about. Okay, so I believe this is the time when she's talking to her friend, the one who's saying about the patty pies. I think he's also like one of her best friends and her background dancer. And like I said before, she always has an entourage, and they're always like a group of gay men. And I guess that's what makes David feel safe. And, I mean, that was her crew when Vince was around too. So maybe that's her way of making her men feel like, oh, I'm not with anybody that I'll cheat on you with. And she also can't keep a lot of girlfriends around. So she's always with a group of gay men, right? So they're talking about she went to Trina's wedding, which wasn't filmed, but I guess that's going to be filmed on the Braxton Family Values. So we see her return, and she talks about like the bachelor party. No, she's talking about it with David. That's where I am. I'm sorry. And they're talking about going to the bachelor and bachelorette party for Trina's wedding. And she's talking about the bachelor party for David. And she's like, we're going to talk about the rules. And he's talking about strippers in my face and this and that. And I've never been one to be like, don't have fun. Like, don't do this, don't do that. I kind of like, if I'm like if I ever get married, like I would want my man to have as much fun as he can. I mean, within limits, you know what I mean? But the bachelor party, whatever, like strippers, whatever, as long as you ain't doing nothing crazy, like have some fun. Like, let's go to the strip club together. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like I'm not that insecure because you're coming home to me. You know what I mean? So it's whatever. So she talks about her niece. The last time the entire family was together was when her niece passed. If you guys don't remember, her niece, Michael's daughter, what passed away about a year or two ago. She was about in her 20s, her early 20s, 24, I believe, and she passed away from a drug overdose. And I believe when I look at her Instagram and I look at Tracy's Instagram, I don't think that her mother was in her life. I think Michael was raising her by himself, and she called Tracy her mother because I guess Tracy stepped in for that, to be that role, and she talked about it a little bit. So it was really sad and devastating for the family, obviously, because that's a young girl, gone before her time. So she talks about that was the last time that they were together. She talks about Logan not wanting to be the ring bearer anymore because he's shy. But really, Logan is just picking up on her energy. If she were excited about him being the ring bearer, he would be excited. Kids that age are very impressionable. So if he's hearing or he's feeling that you're not cool with Trina and the family and the wedding situation, and you talking smack about it, of course he's going to be like, I'm not down, because he doesn't want to go against his mother. You know what I mean? So, but I hope he goes through. I hope she encourages him, like, not to be that, or she isn't that petty to make it so that her child won't be a part of this. It's a good experience for him. So, she talks about Goldie, and she felt like Goldie should have been able to articulate the work that she does to David, and she thought that she should have had a convo with David and not bring it into the work that they're doing. Okay, so I see both sides of this. Goldie should have been able to articulate the work that she's doing with Tamar, the dream work. In general, Goldie should be able to articulate what she does very well. In this situation, she should not have had to articulate to David. David is not her father, and she's not 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, David came in as if she has to explain to me so I can say that this is okay for you to move forward and do this with her. You are not my dad. You know what I mean? And even if it was her dad, she's 42 years old. I can see if she was a 15, 16-year-old, and a father or, mother, protector figure is like, I want to see what this is about before I expose my child to this. But she is a grown woman in her 40s, and you're not her husband, you're not her dad, you're a boyfriend. You know what I mean? So, but to make it seem like Goldie had to articulate herself to him is insane to me. And then she says, she should have had a convo with you and not bring it into the work that we're doing. Now, this part I probably agree on, because she allowed a lot of what was going on with her and David, Goldie did, the drama, to influence the work. It really did impact the work that she was doing with Tamar. Tamar is now in the middle. There's now a push and pull. There's a power struggle. Tamar's in the middle. And if you're trying to work with her and bring her to her highest potential, and it's the reason why I keep saying, people are saying she's a dream work person, I keep saying like a life coach thing, because I thought she said something about doing the dream work, and the reason why she was always with Tamar was because there was some sort of life coaching thing. In the beginning, she said, I want to hang around with Tamar to kind of see how she moves through life, but then she stayed around. So that's why I'm seeing her as like a life coach type of person, which I did feel like, in that instance, you are not supposed to bring all that drama into the work you're doing with this person. You're supposed to be supporting this person, teaching this person coping skills, how to get through some of these struggles so that she can reach her highest potential. Why are you adding more anxiety, adding more stress, adding more all of this extra stuff to what she's doing? You know what I mean? And then expecting her to be able to sit down and interpret a dream. You can't when you're in that mind state. So that's what I think about that. So, David talks about, well, we prayed, I prayed with you, I prayed with my mom, I prayed, and where's Goldie? She's gone now, as you can see. In other words, saying we prayed to get this devil type of figure away from you, and look, she's gone. That's BS. That's a crock. But, he's trying to push his whole Christianity thing. And I'm still confused. Like, how are you throwing all this Christianity in people's faces? You're having premarital sex. You're shacking up with her. You're talking about this is your house. I don't know. I see you drinking. I see you talking about strippers in your face. I see you, all the stuff that you like that Tamar is doing, like Goldie said, twerking on stage, twerking here and there, all this kind of stuff isn't necessarily Christian-like. I'm not judging it, but I'm judging the fact that you are judging other people when you're not living the most Christian-like life either. And I also think you're some sort of a scammer or, a social climber, whatever it is he's trying to do with Tamar. So what you're doing, being manipulative, a narcissist, all these abusive, is not Christian-like. So there you go, David. Okay. So Tamar, afterwards, this is when she's sitting with the Patty Pie's friend of hers, right? Talks about the bachelorette party. She says, oh, I got tired. I went upstairs. And I bet you, I want to bet anybody money that when we see Braxton Family Values and we see that she gets tired and goes upstairs, it happened over some drama, or it happened, she did it with an attitude, or she did it with the attitude of like, oh, I'm better than this. Oh, this is too wild for me. This is too crazy, because that's how Tamar does. And she tries to play the victim, and she tries to play like she's a little weak thing. Let me leave because blah, blah, blah. I could already see it. But, you talk to me in the comments and think, and we will see when the Braxton Family Values comes on and I do the review if I was correct. So she has not talked to Goldie. She said she feels like their time together was a time that they spent together, and that was that. She didn't want to elongate it. Everything they did together that was positive, we're going to leave it in the past, and everything that was negative, we're going to leave that in the past. And I feel like that was kind of cheap of her, because she had Goldie in that situation where they were in the bedroom and arguing and whatever happened between her and David. So I feel like there should have been some sort of a closure, maybe even thanking her for what they did do. You know what I mean? Some kind of closure to the relationship that they had, because supposedly they both loved each other. You know what I mean? So here she is again choosing David and David's side, even if it's wrong, over Goldie. And then as we see last weekend, she chose him over her family, but I'll get into that. So, you know, the producer talks about how basically since Goldie left that whole situation, she's kind of been shutting us down, been shutting us out of this. You know what I mean? So what we try to film, she's being very, you know, she's pushing them away. She's kind of closing off, and she's getting upset with them, and she thinks that they were being shady in different ways. So, you know, they're supposed to have a final interview to close out the series. She shows up. They've been waiting for her all this time. Again, not respectful of anybody's time. And I feel like at the beginning of Braxton Family Values, when she was hungry, I feel like she was always the early one. I know there were times when she was late, a lot of times in the more recent episodes, but in the beginning, I felt like she had such a good work ethic. You know what I mean? She was the one that was waiting for everybody. She was like, we need to be on time whenever they would show up for practice and everything. So I don't know, but she does this on purpose. Again, she does this as a power play. She does this to play on people. She is also very manipulative and narcissistic. And so she shows up 2 minutes before the time they have to be out. They're supposed to be out of this room at 7 o'clock. She shows up at 6:58 and leaves at 7:01. Okay, guys, I have to leave. And this was all just a power play on her part, right? So, and of course, she lost her voice. And she's meek little Tamar, because I always have to play the victim and everybody's against me, right? So she says she's over it. So, you know, Mona meets with David. And again, I don't know why David is so involved in this. Why does Mona have to meet with David? I have no idea. But here he comes. He talks about, you know, the family issues, which again is not his place either. Because again, he is a boyfriend. Oh, I've seen her depressed. After the Ayanna show, she couldn't get out of bed and she was crying. After what happened in Napa Valley, I saw this and that. And of course, he is using his savior complex and smearing it all over the place. And he is the expert on all things Tamar. And I hate his disposition. I hate that he is coming off this way, and I hate that he's speaking on things that have nothing to do with him. I have to be there to support him because she has nobody. I'm sure he's putting this in her ear. You know, none of your family isn't supporting you, and you're so distant from them. But I'm here to support you, and that's why she feels like she needs him so much, because he's the only one in her corner, right? Us against the world type of thing, which is a bad place to be. So, you know, that he discusses the wedding drama. He says, you know, there was a fight. Tracy grabbed her hair in her hand and she was just so angry. And I just feel like if they're ever in the space together again, I wouldn't feel safe with them and all this blah, blah, blah. Tamar discussed the, you know, what happened at the bachelorette party with her friends. She said she didn't even bring up a fight. The whole series, she has said, I do not want to mention my family in this series. She closed that part off. She didn't mention it when she had the opportunity to mention it to her friend. So why he would feel like it was okay for him to bring up this fight that happened on national TV is insane. He is the one creating the divide between her and her family. She apparently wants to mend it because she doesn't want to talk about it or make things worse on this reality show. And you brought it up and she didn't even give you permission to. So I just want to go back really quickly. So when she was talking to her friend, the Patty Pie guy, when she's talking about, oh, the bachelorette party was horrible, and, you know, Tawanda, and I think that she was joking in that moment because they were probably all laughing about it. We'll see when we see the show. They're probably laughing about it together. Oh, this was the worst bachelorette party. But then, you know, the friend part starts kind of saying something about the setup and takedown between the wedding and the reception. If you don't have that, you're cheap. And then, you know, she talked a little bit about Trina being married more than 2 times or divorced twice or whatever it was. And I just feel like, why are you taking cheap shots? You don't want to, you know, mention, unless this is an ongoing joke that you have with your sisters that we don't know about. I just feel like she shouldn't be taking cheap shots or allowing this person to take cheap shots at her sister, especially like on national TV. But that's my opinion. Okay, so, you know, David, back to the David and Mona conversation, he starts talking about, you know, the issue is, do you want high ratings or do you want to be happy? And then Mona just lays it out on the table. Listen, she should have made that choice before she called me. And she made it clear she called me. Tamar is very aware of what happens with these reality shows. She's been doing reality probably for over a decade now. I think the Braxton Family Values has been on. You know the pros and the cons. This is the reason why you stopped filming within that last season. This is the reason why you said you wanted a break from We and you don't want to do this and you've been dodging the cameras because you feel that they twist things in order to get drama, in order to get viewers. That's their job. As shady as it may be, that's the producer's job. And then as shady as Mona is, you know, everybody complains about Mona. Everybody on Love and Hip Hop complained about Mona. People have left Love and Hip Hop always about Mona because Mona is sitting on her high horse, rich as heck, off of everybody else's drama. And you know that they set up these instances. If you know you have drama with somebody, I have a drama with XYZ, guess what? They're going to say, show up at Amy Roof's at 8 o'clock and you're going to have dinner with somebody. You show up and then XYZ is sitting there and they have created drama. And this is what they do. We know this about Mona. Mona's probably the shadiest one. Everybody talks about that. So for you to even go to Mona, you should have expected that. So she comes and she acts shocked. But they are, again, you gave them no footage. So that's why we see so many of the production mishaps that have happened. You gave them no footage. So we have all the extra mess that you don't like and the fluff that you don't like. And then they also they want viewership. So they're any kind of drama that they can get and grab at, that's what they're going to get. So, you know, at one point I was wondering, like, Tamar's getting her feet massaged by like one of her friends or whatever, and I think he's a straight guy. He's massaging her feet, and I'm thinking, how inappropriate is that? But at the same time, I don't know. I just didn't. Vince can't walk in the house, and that's his son. But okay, I don't know. Whatever. Maybe that's not an intimate thing, but I just didn't think that was appropriate. That's off the subject. I just wrote a note about it. So, you know, then Mona meets with Tamar, and of course Tamar's sick. You know, she's on antibiotics. She's still sick. I don't know why. My second round of antibiotics, blah, 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 right? And so she says she feels like there was a lot of time wasted on shenanigans that had nothing to do with me. And I agree. There was a lot of time wasted in the series on shenanigans, but it had nothing to do with you because you wouldn't give them anything. So it was David's show. It was Goldie's show. You know what I mean? And that's what they had to go with because they're looking for drama. They're looking for something to keep people watching, right? Of course, we're sitting here like, oh, I want to see what happens next week because now they're fighting. Hey, Tamar, you're not giving us much. You running off camera. I don't want to talk about that. You're not giving us anything. So, you know, at one point, she starts looking at, Mona says, here, look at some of the footage that we have. She said, I got to go, you know, because she's going to go work on her other shows. But you look at the footage and you know, decide what you think about it, whatever. She leaves. And so she's shocked at the footage. She was like, I'm leaving. She's shocked when Tracy's husband talked about the fact that way back when Tracy, you know, was upset about the contract that they signed without her. And she was like, and I kind of agree with Tamar, like I was in 9th grade. We still talking about this. Like this is still the issue. And I can see why I could be like, why are we still dragging this? We're still talking about this on TV. And Tamar was the youngest. She probably was in 9th grade. That's like 15 to 16 years old. Well, 14 to 15, right? But the issue with her and Tracy is way more than that. It's the fact that nobody in the family respects her, the fact that they call her the wannabe on the show, the fact that she's pretty much like, they act like she's like the least desired. You know, the fact that Tony said on national TV, I would like you to lose 40 or 50 pounds. That was so out of pocket. The fact that Tamar had her dressing in like a basement closet when they were on tour, that went on Tamar's tour together. The fact that she doesn't get with Tamar, and I understand it because Tamar is disrespectful. As a youngest sister, as any sister, you're disrespectful. You're a good time, but then you can also get to the eye rolling and the neck rolling and the snapping and popping your teeth and the quick little quips in the side. And then, you know, you dish it. Oh, your husband ain't shit. Your husband ain't shit. Yeah. And then you can't take it. You know what I mean? So when it was her turn to go through her divorce with Vince, and everybody knew along the way that they wasn't this happy couple that they were portraying on TV. Nobody really there for her because when everybody else was going through their stuff, she was throwing it in their face. You need you a man like me. You need you a man like my Vince. And you need to get like us. And it was like, okay, so she was doing this on national TV. So you're making us look like crap, and then you expect us to be there for you when it's your turn. It don't work that way, baby. So she can dish it, but she can't take it. And Tracy, that gets under Tracy's skin, and I understand it because I can't stand people like that either. And the people who always play the victim, and the people who are always, oh, I'm too sick to do this. And yeah, but when it comes to something to do for you, everybody has to be there. I don't know if you guys remember when Vince was sick in the hospital. I think he was in a coma. He had a blood clot, and she was saying he had been in a coma for like a few weeks. And the family was there when he went into the hospital. Everybody flew in to be with her. But when he woke up, she was upset at her sister, saying, "You weren't here. We didn't fly back here to be here when Vince woke up." That's not our brother. That's not our husband. That's your husband. We were here for you when it happened. When he was hanging in the balance, we were here for you. How are we supposed to know when he wakes up? And we're supposed to be rearranging our lives with our kids and getting on flights because he woke up? I can call in and talk to Vince. I can FaceTime into Vince. I'm going to be there for you. But it's just like she asks so much of everybody else, but she won't do it for them. Or when she does, it comes with all the dramatics and the throwing in your face, this, and that. So I can understand why Tracy and her are still not on good terms, because she doesn't know how to eat her humble pie and mean it and stay down there. Okay. Oh, I'm almost done, y'all. So she feels like she's had no control over what happened with the reality show. She feels like it went from, she wanted to show the reality of her life, and then they wanted drama. But I feel like this. You're not new to the game. You've been in the industry for over 20, 30 years or whatever it is. You've been in reality. You're not new to the game. You know what it is. So they want her to do a final. If she finally is going to reshoot, I guess, the final interview, she stalls. She has it so that her lawyer has to come up with the questions this time. And she comes in and, she's looking all, despondent, and her weave is down and her lips look kind of funny. I don't know what kind of lip filler she got. And she's like so sad, and she's drawn in, and her shoulders are down, and she says like, you guys stabbed me in the back, or her whole thing. But she wanted to do this to empower women and show them that you can come out on the other side. Obviously, we didn't see that. Obviously, I don't think anybody would take advice from Tamar at this time. She said, "Y'all stabbed me in the back." And again, you're playing the victim. Like, you already knew what this was. You're in there. You're not new to the game. I feel like, just stop crying wolf. You know what I mean? I don't want to this is what I really think about Tamar. I'm not hating on her. I am a huge Tamar fan. I think she is amazingly talented. I had that first album, Love and War. That took me places. I just had it on repeat between Love and War and Stay and Fight. And, some of those other songs in there. I mean, I know them from front to back. You know what I mean? I think she's amazingly talented. She could sing, she could dance, she writes, on the spot. I think she's a great personality. And I do think when she makes friendships, even when she was with the girls on The Real and with Tiny and all them folks, everybody says she's a good friend. You know what I mean? But something happened along the way where she started pushing everybody away, between April and LaShawn and, Tiny and these people. And then she ends up with no girlfriend. The first few crews of people that we saw you with on your show, they're long gone. So it's like she allows certain things to enter into her relationship. Certain things could also be a person like David, where it pushes everybody away. Nobody wants to be around that. And also the extra dramatics. So I am a big Tamar fan. I want to see her win. So this whole season was kind of like it was disappointing, and it was kind of sad that it's like, I just kind of want to see you be back on top again. That's where she wanted to be. Anyway, let me know what you think. I'm missing a thought that just popped in my mind and it left. But either way, like, comment, subscribe, share, tell me what you think, give me some feedback, and hopefully we'll be talking about Braxton family values soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.